Janet Munger asks says that she's very concerned about family separation at the border. This is causing emotional damage to these kids. And how do you justify this government-sponsored child abuse?
It's not government-sponsored child abuse, all right? Let's go over this. Hang on. These are not concentration camps. No, they're not. Well, I'll tell you what. Then on that, we fundamentally disagree. We'll just start there. We'll fundamentally disagree on that. This is the United States of America. This is the greatest country in the world. There is a difference between a concentration camp as we know it, and everybody knows what you're talking about, Nazi Germany, and what's going on. The people that are there, they can leave. Nobody is holding them against their will. They can leave, all right? All right, so second of all, do we have compassion for everyone? We have compassion for everyone. We have compassion for everyone. It starts with the American people. My compassion, first and foremost, and what we do with this job is we defend this country and we protect the American people. That's the first thing that we do. That's the first thing we do. So now here's the deal. Let's talk, if you don't mind.
Excuse me, Congressman. I think let's remember the rules that we said with here. This is a civil discussion. Let's be respectful of different opinions, and let's listen. Thank you.
Well, let's go through the whole immigration. Let's talk a little bit on immigration, all right? We'll get it all out. I'll let you know where I'm coming from. We'll have a give and take. Who asked this question? Do we know? Yes, ma'am. Maybe we'll have a little give and take, okay? So let's talk about it. The situation on the southern border of the United States has been chaos and trouble since Ronald Reagan. I worked on the Hill during the 80s. They had a big deal. Reagan was going to get his money for border security. We were going to give him amnesty to 3 million, and the whole thing was going to be solved. That never happened. We never got the border security. And over the last 40 years, it's become a problem. We have in this, but let's start with the good news. The good news is I support legal immigration. I'm 100% for people coming here legally, doing it the right way. I do not support illegal immigration. I'm very clear about that. Because you have to have the rule of law and an order. We'll talk about the whole thing, all right? We'll talk about the whole thing, all right? We'll get through it. We'll get through the whole thing. If you want to have a discussion and give and take, that's fine. If you're going to try and convince me of something, it probably won't work tonight. I won't convince you either, but we'll have a discussion. We'll have a discussion. So, laws on the books, yeah. Legal, good. Illegal, not good in my view. Now, we have 60 million people in the United States, and this is a good thing, because think about it. Every year we bring in 1 million people legally. 1 million. We are the most generous country in the world on immigration by far. It ain't even close, all right? It's not even close. You can combine the next 5 countries and they don't even bring in 1 million people legally into their country. Very little. Now, that's good. We celebrate that. 60 million people living in the United States today are foreign born. 60 million. They didn't get here because we were bad guys and trying to keep them out. They got here because we had a system of legal immigration that is the best in the world and the most generous in the world. We should celebrate that. We never talk about that. Everybody's always so mad. Let's talk about how we have 60 million people that didn't even grow up in this country here. That's a good thing, right? I think it's a good thing. But we also have 20 million people, 12 to 20, 25, whatever the number is, we don't know because nobody knows, who are here unlawfully, who came to our country, either ran over the border and are still here, and a good chunk of them, about 5 million at least, flew into the country on a temporary visa and never left. Now, either you think that's okay, you don't think that's okay. The rules are they're not supposed to be here, they're supposed to come here in a lawful way. What do I support? And then we'll get into the give and take, we'll talk about it a little bit. I support securing America's borders. I support physical barriers to make sure that we have an orderly system so people, when they come into the country, come through checkpoints. I support fixing the visa and passport system with biometrics and other things so we know who's coming here, we know who's staying here and overstaying, and we can identify them and try to do something about that because they're not all bad people, but if you overstay, we don't know who they are, we don't know where they are, we don't know what they're doing. There were some on 9/11 that overstayed visas that if we had a better system, maybe would have caught it. You go to third world countries, folks. Oh, I'm sorry. You go to third
Sir.
world countries. It's common term. You go to third world countries. You overstay a visa. You stay there long. They fine you. They put you in jail. This is what happens all around the world. We're more lenient than others. But so fix that. No more of the sanctuary cities. Let's have some law and order. Let's do what we have to do to fix the asylum rules and things like that so we can have an orderly process for people, so we don't have a magnet where they come up here and risk their lives and sometimes die and all these other terrible things. Let's try to have an orderly, systemic process that can be good for people around the world that want to come here and good for our citizens. Then we need a system where people can come and go and work and fill needed jobs. And some areas like dairy have never had this. They should. We've been fighting for this. And so our economy can thrive, people can make money, they can make choices, and they could build up credits towards citizenship if they want to. All right? That's kind of where I come from. That's what I would like to see done. The president, in many ways, kind of wants the same thing. The opposition party really doesn't. And we're at a big crossroads. How are we going to get it done? I don't know. These people coming here now, and some of the laws, it's got everybody, back and forth. Nobody knows. So, ma'am, just in a nutshell, if you answer a couple questions, I'll let you talk. What do you think? I mean, 60 million versus, that's pretty good, right? You got a lot of foreign-born folks. That's good. Should we ever limit the number of people that can come to America? No, hang on. I mean, should we? Is that fair? Okay, now we're going to get to the border.
All these plans are fantastic if they were in place, but they're not in place now.
Well, no, some of us, I'm sorry.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Little children that are being held against their will, on their own, without their parents, and they cannot get up and leave anytime they want. How is a 3-month-old baby or a 4-year-old going to leave a facility like that?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Fair enough. You want them reunited with the parents, and the parents can make decisions. But the second thing I would say is, under what the bill yesterday had to do with detention centers, and a lot of the Democrats voted against it. I voted for it. It was a compromised bill. But one of the reasons they voted against it is because there was money in the bill that would allow ICE to do its job. Under what circumstances should ICE be allowed to deport people who have illegally entered the country?
After a hearing, as per the Constitution.
Okay. All right. Hang on. So you support, I was talking with her, but whatever. But so you support, if a judge adjudicates a case and orders a person to be deported, then ICE should be allowed to go in and do its job.
If they get a hearing, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Any person who presents themselves at the border with a reasonable fear that they could be harmed or returned home is allowed a hearing under a refugee court.
Well,
People in cages is a process of determining
okay, I got that.
people from exercising.
Did you know that right now, there are 1 million people who have illegally came into our country, who have been adjudicated by a federal judge and ordered deported? 1 million. Do you know that?
They should, if there's a
All right.
standing order that they should be deported, that's fine. That's
Okay,
not
all
what
right.
we're talking
Hey, hang on. I'm not. We're just walking. Yes, sir. We are walking through the entire issue here. We're just trying to go through the whole issue.
Walk around the issue. Talking about children in danger.
Sir, please be respectful.
I protested them too.
All right. So anyway, there are orders for folks to be deported. ICE, when they go out and get people, those are the people they're getting, right? And all right. Let's just say they are. But there's a million people, so that's a good deal. Under what circumstances should our country have laws that says we have to limit people as to how many people come into our country? They have to come here legally, and if they do it wrong, we have every right to send them back to their country. Now, asylum and refugee, different. Refugee is a whole different thing. They come here, and they come and be permanent residents, and as long as everything's good, they stay. But asylum is different. Now, on the border, what's been happening recently, They've kind of gamed it a little bit. They come in, especially if they had a child, and they say, hang on, and they say, we're on U.S. soil. So now the government has 21 days to deal with it, and if they don't, we have to disperse them to the country, and it's become chaos. But so far, about 90% of the people who have been ordered to go to an asylum hearing have not showed up. Well, it is true. All right? Well, let's say, what is the percentage?
99% of
All right.
people who have representation show
Well, hang
up
on.
for their
People who have representation. So you're,
85% of the people who don't have representation show up for
all right.
their hearing.
Well, so the 15%, would you at least agree that under those circumstances, we should go ahead and say they didn't show up and they've been adjudicated by a judge and all that?
We're talking about
Okay.
85 and then 99%.
All right. So I think we're getting somewhere.
4-year-olds and cases.
So whatever the percentage is of folks that don't show up for their hearings, then they're eligible to be deported as well. Now, ma'am, hang on one second. So, ma'am, the border situation, you feel the conditions are not right. People would say that Obama did certain things in a similar way. It's the government. I don't think there's any intent to go out and hurt folks. We don't want to see anybody harm. What do you want done for them? I asked her what she wants done.
Children that have been taken away from their parents
Ah.
are now not being cared to our government, even up to the standards of like U.S. daycare.
Okay.
I want those children to be reunited with their parents, wherever their parents are
Okay.
being held right now. They should be with their
And if obviously, if those aren't their parents, we don't want to reunite them with them, right? So,
I want them to
okay.
be with their family.
Okay, so if we can find their parents, we reunite them, and then we put them on a course to do an asylum hearing, and they get their day, and we go through the process. Is that what you're looking for? Okay. Now, the legislation last night, I think it was good. It was a compromise. It said, let's spend the $5 billion, let's have more beds, let's do this thing, let's try to have accommodations for people, make sure that everything is better. But I think we're getting somewhere. They're saying, if you go through the process, it's okay. Not everybody will stay. But we want them to go through the process, a legal, orderly process. That's what I support. So in a lot of ways, I think we agree. But let's not say that just because somebody's in powers of government that they're bad, evil, mean people, and that this country is bad, mean. This is the best country in the history of the world. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's move on to the next question.